We can make React Memo work for prop values that are objects as well. We just need to tweak the way we create and store those objects a little bit. There is an extra hook provided by React that helps us with that, and that is the use callback hook. Use callback is a hook that allows us to basically store a function across component executions. So it allows us to tell React that we want to save a function and that this function should not be recreated with every execution. With that, one and the same function object is stored, so one and the same place in memory, and therefore the comparison does work. Because, just to make this clear again as well, if you have object 1 like this and you have object 2 like this, which looks similar, you learned that they aren't similar in JavaScript. If you, however, set object 2 equal to object 1, you point at the exact same place in memory, and therefore now object 1 will be equal to object 2. And that's in the end what use callback does for us. It will save a function of our choice, basically somewhere in React's internal storage, and will always reuse that same function object then when this component function executes. And using it is simple. We just wrap the function we want to save with it. So here we use the use callback hook and pass our function as a first argument to use callback. And use callback then returns that stored function, and when the app function reruns, use callback will look for that stored function, which React stores for us, and reuse that same function object. So if we know that this function should never change, we can use callback to store it. Now you see I got some yellow squiggly lines here though, which tells me that I did probably forget to pass an array of dependencies. Use callback, like use effect, actually wants a second argument, and it wants it even more so than use effect. And just like for use effect, the second argument should be an array of dependencies of this use callback call. And the dependencies here are the same as they are for use effect. Anything you use in your function, which is coming from the surrounding component, so any state or props or context, should be specified here. Now here we only have the state updating function, and we could add this as a dependency, but we don't have to, because as mentioned earlier in the course, React guarantees us, actually with help of use callback probably, that this will never change, so that this will always be the same function object. Hence, this is an exception which we don't have to add. And then in this simple callback, we have nothing else. Keep in mind that this code here is just a function we pass to setShowParagraph, so that is totally contained inside of our callback function. So therefore here we have an empty array of dependencies, which basically tells React that this callback function, this function here, which we want to store in toggle paragraph handler ultimately, will never change, that it has no dependencies, and that therefore always the same function object should be reused when the app component re-renders. Hence now if I save that and I reload, we see button running once, but then you never see it again. Because now React Memo is able to do its job because we ensure that all the prop values we pass in are comparable. In this case, because this toggle paragraph handler function object is guaranteed to always be the exact same object in memory because of use callback.